Welcome to the world of horror and dating apps, where swiping left and right could lead to the most terrifying experiences. In this video, we'll be discussing some of the worst and horrifying dating app stories, narrated by three brave women who have been through it all. From stalking and harassment to dangerous and life-threatening situations, these stories will leave you shocked and horrified. But these women have come forward to share their experiences and inspire others to be vigilant while using dating apps. So, sit back, grab some popcorn, and prepare to be on the edge of your seat as we bring you the most chilling and spine-tingling stories from the world of dating apps. Story 1. I had been using dating apps for a while and was used to the ups and downs of online dating. I swiped right on a guy named Alex, and we hit it off. Our conversations were easy and casual, filled with laughter and interesting stories. We decided to meet in person at a cozy cafe in the city. When I arrived, I was greeted with a warm smile and a hug from Alex. He was just as charming in person as he was online. We ordered our drinks and settled in for a nice chat. But things quickly took a dark turn. Alex started asking me very personal questions, like where I lived and if I lived alone. I brushed it off as just a bit of curiosity and continued the conversation. However, as the minutes ticked by, I started to feel uneasy. His tone became increasingly aggressive, and he started to invade my personal space. I tried to excuse myself and leave, but he grabbed my arm and pulled me back. Panic set in as I realized that I was in danger. I tried to scream for help, but his hand covered my mouth. He whispered in my ear that he wouldn't let me leave, and that he had been watching me for a while. My mind raced as I tried to think of a way to escape. I remembered that I had pepper spray in my purse and quickly grabbed it, spraying it directly into his face. As he stumbled back, I made a run for it, not daring to look back. I ran all the way home, my heart pounding in my chest. I immediately called the police and reported what had happened. Thankfully, they were able to track down Alex and arrest him. It turned out that he had a history of violence and had been using dating apps to find his victims. As I learned more about Alex, I found out that he had a small room in his apartment that was filled with photos of me and other women he had met on dating apps. It was a terrifying discovery that made me feel sick to my stomach. It was clear that he had been stalking me, and that our meeting at the cafe was just the beginning of his twisted plan. Looking back, I shuddered to think what might have happened if I hadn't had my pepper spray. It was a terrifying experience that I wouldn't wish on anyone, but it also taught me to be more cautious when it came to online dating, and to always trust my instincts. I hope that by sharing my story, I can help others stay safe and avoid the same fate. Story 2. Last year, fresh out of a 2-year relationship, I decided to jump on Tinder to distract myself. I matched with a seemingly nice guy and we hit it off through texts. He picked me up and we went bowling. It was my first Tinder date, and despite my social anxiety, I enjoyed it. After the game, he suggested we go back to his place. I hesitated, but the thought of being in a private setting sounded appealing. As we drove, I realized his house was in a sketchy neighborhood. My unease grew, but I brushed it off, not wanting to seem judgmental. Inside, we lounged on his bed and watched a horror movie. Suddenly, he turned to me and revealed that he couldn't feel empathy or guilt. His words sent chills down my spine. I froze as he ran his finger from my chest to my stomach and asked if I had ever wondered what the human body looked like on the inside. Panic set in, and I didn't know what to do. I laughed it off and he excused himself to the bathroom. I quickly texted a friend to call me with an emergency. When he returned, I made up an excuse to leave and asked him to take me home. He agreed, but once we were in the car, he stalled for time by pretending to search for his keys and claiming his car was low on gas. My heart raced as I waited for him to start the car, hoping my friend would call back soon. Finally, he started the car, and we drove in silence. I was relieved when we reached my house, but my relief was short-lived. He refused to let me leave, grabbing my arm as I tried to get out. I struggled against him, but he was too strong. Just as I thought it was over for me, a neighbor walked by, and the guy panicked, letting me go. I rushed inside and locked the door, shaking with fear. I deleted Tinder that night and never looked back. Story 3. I met him on a dating app, and I was immediately drawn to his simplicity and good looks. He was polite, kind, and easy to talk to. We chatted for a few days before he told me that he had a daughter and had been through a divorce. I didn't think much of it. I was 28, and I didn't mind dating a guy who had a kid. In fact, I admired him for being so upfront and honest about his life. But things started getting strange after a few dates. He started asking me to come with him to drop off his daughter at his ex-wife's house, which was a 4-hour drive away. I wasn't comfortable with it, so I declined. But he kept insisting and pressuring me to come with him. One night, we were sitting in his car, and he started making creepy remarks. He told me how he had a history of being a psycho and how he used to stalk his ex-wife. I was horrified and didn't know what to do. He kept talking, and I felt trapped in the car with him. I tried to change the subject, but he wouldn't let it go. He then started to make me feel very uncomfortable. He told me how he had been watching me, and he knew where I lived and worked. He also started talking about how he liked to hurt people, and how he had been in and out of therapy for years. At this point, I was shaking, and I knew I had to get out of there. I managed to make an excuse and get out of the car. I walked away as fast as I could, and I never spoke to him again. I was so scared that he would come after me. But thankfully, he never did. Looking back, I realized how lucky I was to get out of that situation. I had never felt so scared and vulnerable in my life. I realized how important it is to listen to your gut and trust your instincts when it comes to dating. You never know what kind of person you might meet on a dating app. As we come to the end of our discussion about horrifying dating app stories, it's important to remember that while online dating can be a great way to meet new people, it can also be a dangerous game. These stories serve as a reminder to always trust your instincts and be cautious when meeting someone new. Have you ever had a bad experience on a dating app? Share your story in the comments below and let us know how you handled the situation. Remember, your experience could help someone else stay safe while looking for love online. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more interesting and informative content.